afternoon, everyone. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills. Well, it's Friday, and the big news of the day is what is the deal that Trump and Canada have put together, and everyone is, it's all over the news, and nobody really knows what the details are, and everyone is breathlessly waiting for it. We have heard some hints here and there. Certainly Trump is let out something. He's more willing to be a little more open about what the deal entails. I don't know if, they're just trying to finalize it today. And I do understand that Trump mentioned something about the Keystone Pipeline, which, is always a good thing. I don't think it ever should have been shut down. That was totally ridiculous. But whatever, that's my opinion. But I understand that may be rebuilt, put back in the works, started up again. I don't know what the situation with that. I thought it was killed. So it's back in play. And there are rumors, and the rumors have to do with the U.S. and Canadian dairy market. We'll see. There is Canadian dairy products are definitely more expensive than the U.S. dairy products, so I don't know what is actually happening there or not. All of this should be finalized at some point today, maybe. And of course, putting the booze back on the shelves. Our illustrious Premier Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, decided to be very aggressive at showing his displeasure and had U.S. booze taken off Ontario's shelves. I don't think he has no say what goes on in the rest of Canada, but Ontario is a big market, one of the larger markets in all of Canada anyway. So there has been no American liquor on Ontario shelves since all this began. And I understand that is also something else that is being discussed, is putting the booze back on the shelves. And that the tariffs on automobiles would be reduced. Now, the one thing that I did hear, and I don't know how factual it is that they're claiming, that, like I said, it's all rumor today, but they're claiming that Canada is going to have the best deal of all the countries. So I don't know how factual that is or is not, but they're claiming that it's a win-win-win for everybody, and nobody's getting everything they want, and everybody's getting something. So we'll see how that pans out. It doesn't affect me per se, but yes, I guess it does. When you're trying to buy things, it's always going to cost you, whether I'm in Alabama or whether I'm in Ontario. So hopefully they will come up with something and be satisfied with the results of what they're doing. So another thing that I've been up to is that I finalized removing all my fencing and T-posts from my allotment garden. I still have it for this year, and I can go back and dig up some of the plants or whatever, but once people see that you're starting to leave, there are people who scrounge around and take whatever they want. I had a couple of T-posts that were slightly bent that I left on the ground. I had pulled them up and left them on the ground, and they disappeared. And sadly, with community or allotment gardens, these are allotment gardens, they're not community. Each one has our own plot. And the lady across from me always had a lovely, very well-maintained plot, but I think she had nothing else to do. So her husband would drop her off, and she would, be in the garden all day long. And so when I was there yesterday, I was informed that she had arrived early at 6 a.m, and her gate was open. Like, we build our own enclosures, gate them and fence them. And anyway, her gate was opened, and there was a plastic bag on the ground, and somebody had been digging. So, turns out that some of her vegetables were removed. A lot of her tomatoes were removed, even though they were green. But her garden has always been lovely. But apparently it's not just her. It's, somebody goes shopping in the allotment gardens, and my attitude is I'm not sorry that I've left it. I've always disliked the fact that it was so public that anybody could go in there and disrupt what you're working on. So I finalized, I think it took me 3 trips to pull out and, remove fencing and pull out the T-posts, and now they are in my locker. And hopefully I'll get my son to bring them down to Alabama. They're 7-foot T-posts, but I can assure you they're nothing like the ones we pulled out in Alabama. The 40-year-old ones the strength of them is incredible compared to these. These are 5 years old, 6 years old. I don't remember when I bought them, but the strength is just not the same. So there's no way I'm getting rid of the ones from Alabama either. I don't think you can bend those ones, where these ones you can bend. So anyway, I think there's close to 20 of them. I haven't counted, but that's still a lot of money that I spent on that and on the fencing. Now, I did leave the little gate that both my husband and my son had manufactured for me. I left that with one of the other gardeners, and he said, yes, anything you don't want. And there was a whole row of chicken wire fencing that I decided that I would not bring, and that took up one side of my plot. And so I rolled that up and left that with him as well. So hopefully nobody will take it away from him before he arrives and does something with it. But that's good. I am done. I am completely done there. I said my goodbyes to some of the folks that, we were very friendly with. Managed to see a couple of them, and, it's another door closes, another one opens. So obviously looking forward to doing more gardening down south, and my little balcony garden. And now here I have put up another arch fencing on both ends of my balcony. And like I said, this year is more of an experiment, but next year I intend to try to turn the whole balcony into a garden, and it's all in pots, so we'll see what we can do with it. Anyway, well, I've been to the thrift shops a few times, and most of the time, as I say, I don't find anything, but I do keep my eyes open for something that might interest me. So actually, after a few trips, not just one, I managed to find a couple of items that I found interesting. And the first one is a brand new Magic Bullet. Anyway, this is a complete unit. Everything is in it. And this is the original one, and I did have one like it. Mine is getting old, and most of the pieces are gone. Actually, I still have the unit itself. The blades, I have only the flat blade rather than the cross blade, and that's what I have with the old unit. Now the cups, the cups are interchangeable, and you could use, there's enough of them that you could use any one of them for anything that you want. But I was interested more in the blades, and the unit is a good unit. Anyway, this set retails currently, you can still buy them, it's the whole set, and the complete set of the original Magic Bullet lists for about $50. So, and I picked this one up for $18, so I'm quite happy with the buy. It was definitely a good deal. I have no issue with that. So one of my Magic Bullets has gone to, the older one has gone to Alabama because I needed something there. And I guess this one will stay here, or I might switch them around and take this down there, or take one of the blades from this down there. We'll see what I do with that. And today, made another trip both to Salvation Army and actually the magic bullet came from the Salvation Army thrift store. And I bought that one last week. And today I made a trip both to the Salvation Army thrift store and to Value Village. They're pretty much very close to each other, so I try to hit them both. And sometimes you find nothing at either one of them that you're interested in. You know, there's always things that you can buy, but I try just to buy things that either I really want or something that's really useful. Not just to buy things for the sake of buying them to do a video or whatever. I think if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I collect cast iron. And I have not found a good piece of cast iron in I don't know how long. I like to get the antiques or a really modern lodge, which I also like. And I have a few of them, and I brought a couple of them down south, and I have a few that I left up here. But today I found 3 pieces of cast iron. One was a bowl, and I have no idea who made it. There was just a number on the bottom, and nothing else. No lid, no nothing. I decided to pass on that one because I just had no idea what it was and who made it. It's probably an antique, but there was no way for me to trace what it was. And I like to do that now rather than just buy anything. The other piece was a skillet that had no markings on it at all. So I pass those up all the time now. The third piece was another skillet. And the price was awesome. It was only $8, $7.99. I don't know if you can read that. Let's see. Yeah, $7.99 for this. And this is an antique. It is a GSW, made in Canada product, and it is a number 6. Yes. GSW is a vintage product. And it was a company that I believe, started off as McClary. Now, McClary's was one of the very large cast iron manufacturers in Canada, and I do have a few McClary pieces. They're hard to come by, though. I have a great big cauldron, I guess, or a big pot of McClary's that I do have a video where I stripped that down, cleaned it up. And that was my first attempt at cleaning up cast iron, and it turned out really good, actually. But that was probably one of the things that I initially purchased that started me on this cast iron collection. And I mean, I need another skillet like I need a hole in the head. I probably have about 30 or 40 of them. But when I find something like the GSW, and that's in good shape, I put it on the floor, make sure that it was flat, so there is no, it's not warped at all. And good, it's a nice product. The marking is in the handle as well. They do put the X and the size, I guess, in the handle. So, awesome. Another skillet. And I think I'm probably going to have to divide half my skillets and bring half of them down south, but we'll see. But anyway, it was a good day thrift shopping, and as I said, I just can't resist when I find something that, and this is a nice size for using. A number 6 is a good size for doing a few things. Now, it's in very good shape. It does need to be cleaned and seasoned. I guess we'll get around to that when we get around to that. There's a few pieces that I haven't done anything with. But, as I said, awesome. I'm thrilled with this buy. Anyway, this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. Just a little video today, letting you know my bargains of the last couple of weeks. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.